Now, joining us from Belfast is lecturer Alexander Titov from Queen's University. Thanks so much for joining us here on TRT World. Now, in your recent article, you called this the biggest split in the Orthodox Church in 1,000 years. Why is this happening now?
Well, I think there is quite a serious break between Constantinople and Moscow Patriarchate over the jurisdiction in Ukraine. There were similar breaks in recent years, particularly 97 over Estonia, but I think this one will be much more durable and long-term than the ones that went before. So, and the reason for it is ongoing kind of nation-building process in Ukraine. Which has kind of one kind of key focus on it is this sort of anti-Russian identity to build up in Ukraine, and building up the church is a very convenient and obvious thing to focus on for President Poroshenko in the run-up to his presidential elections. Okay,
so you mentioned that anti-Russian build-up, but what exactly are these Ukrainian priests trying to achieve?
Well, that's a very good question, because basically the idea was that there would be this unifying council of all the Orthodox churches that would be the biggest and dominant church. It would lots of people from lots of priests and parishioners from Moscow Patriarchate in Ukraine would flock to them. Well, that didn't happen. Basically, what you have essentially is the two already independent churches from Russia, from Moscow Patriarchate, Ukrainian Patriarchate and Ukrainian Orthodox Church, which essentially came together under the patronage of Constantinople, Patriarch of Constantinople, and they still remain basically not independent from anybody else, but essentially being recognized by one of the other churches, such as Constantinople, while leaving the larger, much larger Russian Orthodox Church of Ukrainian Orthodox Church of Moscow Patriarchate essentially to the side.
Okay.
So. Huge amounts happening, but it's kind of important symbolically for Poroshenko.
And we've just seen images there of the Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. So is it fair to say that this is very much political as well?
Well, I think this primarily is political. As I said, if there was a real, genuine religious church initiated move, it would involve much larger representation from the biggest church in Ukraine, which is the Ukrainian Church of Moscow Patriarchate. There was hardly the Moscow Patriarchate in Ukraine essentially boycotted and ignored, despite very substantial pressure from the Ukrainian authorities to participate in this council. They basically ignored it, boycotted it. So the only reason really for it, and the way it's being conducted is essentially kind of state-led, Poroshenko-led process, and you can see it in his pictures. I mean, he is a lay person somehow presiding on the church council. I mean, I don't know what capacity he's actually present there, apart from showing that it is kind of his kind of pre-election campaign to get this independent church, which is really not independent, but dependent on the Patriarchate of Constantinople anyway. And secondly, it doesn't actually even constitute the biggest Orthodox church in Ukraine in the first place, because the majority of both bishops refuse to participate in it.
Okay, thank you very much for your analysis on this story. That was lecturer Alexander Titov from Queen's University in Belfast.